Bandana, dark glasses, sunglasses, a white shirt, black Dickies pants, and Nike Cortez sneakers. Back in the day, people knew Mando de la Vega was a gang member the second they saw him. But not anymore. Mondo's incredible journey has taken him from gangster to grace.
Mando de la Vega is an executive producer at the PTL Network and hosts his own show. One would never guess the kind of life he once lived. Escaping abuse and violence in Central America, Mondo's mother took her kids to Los Angeles. The gangs there welcomed teenage Mando with open arms. In My Crazy Life, Mando tells how God took an angry, bitter young man and turned him into a loving husband and father.
Mando de la Vega is with us now, and we welcome you to the 700
What an
Club.
honor
so
to be with you.
wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
Your book, your life, your story. I mean, it's quite, it is miraculous. When you were young, in the very beginning, your life was beautiful. You had great family time. You lived in a very Latino, Hispanic family that was very tight. And then out of the blue, one day, that's all blown up by your dad's violence, really, toward your mother. And I don't know what was going on in his head and heart, but it surely affected you. Then your mom, who's an American citizen, gets you and your sister back into the United States from where you were living to keep you safe. But you move into an LA neighborhood that's anything but safe.
I'm prepared.
So tell me how you got into the whole gang mentality, because it's not where you were coming from when you moved there.
No. You know, I was already primed to be a part of the gang because of the anger and the abandonment and the vengeance that was inside of me from what my father had done to my mother.
Yeah.
The gangs love to prey on kids like me, kids that are hurting, kids that don't feel like they belong, but yet we knew that it was a false identity, but yet that's all we had.
Yeah.
That's all we needed. The only thing that kept us together was the same brokenness that we experienced, but yet we never talked about it.
Yeah.
We were not allowed to talk about it.
And you did really need it, in a sense, because there was a lot of violence in your neighborhood. I mean, without the gang, you weren't going to survive very long as a good kid in that environment.
You know, Terry, when you're reminded every single day, don't make plans past 18 years old because you're not going to live. The title of my book is Mi Vida Loca. It's the 3 dots, the 3 destinations, the 3 roads that gang life leads to. 1, you're going to either end up in the hospital in a coma. Number 2, you're going to end up in prison the rest of your life. Or number 3, you're going to experience death. So imagine being reminded from the age of 8 all the way up to your teens that you're not going to make it past 18 years old, so don't make plans. You live on that survival mode.
What impact did it have on your life that from the time your dad was violent toward your mom, he wasn't in your life anymore? What impact as a boy did that have on you?
Loneliness, brokenness, anxiety, not feeling valued.
Yeah.
When my father walked away, I felt my hero walked away. That was my man. That was my everything. So watching my father walk away from the responsibility, it left me empty, because it left me empty in the idea that I don't want to be a family man. I don't want to have kids. I don't want to be a husband, because if that's what it looks like, I don't know if I can be it.
Yes.
And so it left a big void. And what happened was I would sleep, and in my sleep, I would be crying for my father because of that abandonment. I think it shows you that how important fathers are.
Sure.
The critical actions that your father does impacts you very deeply, but it became a tool that I used in the gang to survive.
Sure.
I used it to protect myself. There was an old saying in the neighborhood, the weakness of a warrior was love and compassion. If I showed compassion and love, it would be used against me. Most of us in the streets ended up dying. They didn't want to deal with it. Yeah. You know, so the pain was pretty brutal.
But your sister, while you're going through all of this, your sister and your mom are finding Jesus, and they're now in church, and their life is changing, and you're with this hardcore gang, really the deepest and the worst that there was in the neighborhood. Your sister then asked you 3 questions that started to make you think.
She walked in and she said, what if God is real? What if prayer works? What if you have a different destiny? Remember, the gangs were telling me, don't make plans past 18 years old because you're not going to live that long. Then society was telling me, lock them up and throw the key away. So when you have that type of pressure, you don't see your destiny past what people are telling you, so you begin to believe it. But when this young girl came in, and listen, you have to risk your reputation. Yeah. You have to risk everything to know that what God spoke to you, you're going to walk in and deliver a prophetic word no matter what the results look like. Yeah. She walked in and delivered those 3, and it started tormenting me.
Well, talk about, she invited you to go to church. I mean, just simply going with her puts your life at risk. Yeah. So you go to church, and speaking of a prophetic word, what happened?
The preacher began to preach about this Jesus that I've never understood. Yet this preacher was a former gang member that was one of my enemies. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, wait a minute, my sister set me up, because on the left side, I see gang members that look like me. On the right side, I look, the OGs. Yet the difference was they had their hands raised and they were crying, they were clapping, they were cheering. And I'm standing all the way in the back with 2 9mm Berettas, lokes on, bandanas on, and I'm thinking my sister set me up. Yet she did set me up, because this preacher began to talk about Jesus in a way that I've never experienced. Yet, when he said he loves you, he's not interested in getting even with you. He got even at the cross. Yeah. If you only knew, he's crazy about you. Terry, as I'm walking away, because I couldn't believe that God can love me. I was so devalued. Yeah, I had the respect that the neighborhood gives you. I had the retaliation that you live for. I had everything that they needed me to be, yet I felt empty. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I'm not good enough to be here. I'm going to walk away. I'm used to listening to Tupac Shakur. I'm listening to Snoop Dogg, NWA. They were all storytellers. And I'm getting ready to walk away because I didn't feel good enough. An old hymn. Yeah. At the cross, where I first saw. I don't know why, Terry, it hit me so hard.
Well, Jesus said, when we know the truth will set us free. And that is exactly what happened to you. Today, you're a pastor. And you have your own TV show, and you're sharing your testimony and interviewing other people about their testimonies. When God redeems, he does it from A to Z.
First class. Listen, the world said lock them up, throw the key away. Today, I'm here next to the beautiful Terry, the legend. And I'm thinking God's grace is more than what we ever asked for, and to understand that he loves you, and only Jesus. In the back of the book, I say, if only Jesus can turn a gangster to grace. If he can do that for me, can you imagine what he can do with you?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing story. I want to say, we have only skimmed the surface of it. Mondo's book is called My Crazy Life. What I love about this is it's such a picture of going from being totally lost to complete redemption and fresh beginnings. It's available nationwide. Just want to suggest that you get it and enjoy seeing what God has done in the life of one man. Thank you, Mondo.
Terry.
What a pleasure to have you here. The Lord bless you and your work.